The vibrant pulse of Seoul at night was a world away from Lagos. Yet for Simi it felt like coming home. This dream, nurtured through countless K-dramas and K-pop anthems hummed under her breath, was finally real. A brilliant, spirited teenage girl from Nigeria, her heart had yearned for the culture, the language, the very air of Korea. Her bedroom walls, plastered with the smiling faces of idols, were a constant reminder of this yearning. Now, walking down a bustling Korean street, the neon lights reflecting in her wide, excited eyes. The dream wasn't just within reach. She was living it. This incredible journey, a reward for her academic brilliance, was made possible by an exchange program. It was a chance she seized with both hands, leaving behind her loving, proud parents, who had tearfully waved her off at the airport, their hopes mingling with her own boundless excitement. In Korea, the Park family welcomed her with gentle warmth. Mr. and Miss Park, their faces kind, offered a comforting presence. And their son, In-soo, became an instant connection. In-soo, the capable class captain and one of the sharpest minds in his year, shared a quiet bond with another boy, Minsun. Though Simi and In-soo attended different classes, their paths sometimes crossed after school, brief moments of shared steps home, offering small pockets of familiarity in this new, exciting world. Starting school was a whirlwind. Simi navigated the unfamiliar corridors, her optimism her compass. Then she met Minsun. He was her seatmate, popular, devastatingly handsome, yet encased in an almost tangible reserve. Girls and boys alike were drawn to his striking appearance, but he kept everyone at arm's length. His silence was a puzzle, a wall Simi couldn't quite decipher. He'd often retreat into himself, head down on the desk, and Simi would have to tap gently, her heart fluttering nervously, just to ask him to move so she could pass. His distance was a stark contrast to his looks, making him an enigma she couldn't help but be intrigued by. Adding another layer of complexity was Yujin. Sharp-eyed and possessive, she was Minsun's ex-girlfriend and the undisputed queen bee of a clique known for their cruelty. Yujin's shadow loomed, a silent warning in the school's social landscape. The fact that Minsun and In-soo were close friends, their families bound by years of shared history, tragically marked by the loss of Minsun's father, only added to the intricate web of relationships Simi was stepping into. Despite these undercurrents and Minsun's perplexing coldness, Simi threw herself into her Korean adventure. Seoul became her playground. She explored hidden alleyways, marveled at ancient palaces standing proudly amidst modern skyscrapers, and bravely sampled every fiery, savory, and sweet dish she could find. She captured memories with her camera along the serene Han River, the city lights twinkling like fallen stars on the water. Even without a circle of close friends yet, the sheer joy of being there, of living her long-held dream, was enough. Everything shifted when they were assigned a group project. Simi and Minsun, partners by chance. Initially, frustration simmered as Minsun remained passive, leaving Simi to carry the weight. But slowly, tentatively, forced proximity chipped away at his reserve. During late-night study sessions, fueled by instant coffee and shared snacks, Minsun began to talk. He spoke of the crushing weight of his mother's expectations, the constant pressure to be flawless, a burden made heavier by the gaping hole left by his father's death. A father he had loved deeply. Simi listened, her earlier frustration melting into empathy. She saw the vulnerability beneath the cool exterior, the pain behind the silence. In sharing his burden, a fragile connection sparked between them. But closeness breeds attention, and Yujin noticed. Her jealousy, sharp and bitter, found its target in Simi. The whispers turned into taunts, the taunts into open hostility. One afternoon, Yujin and her friends cornered Simi by the lockers. "Still dreaming, exchange student?" Yujin sneered, her voice dripping venom. "Think Minsun actually likes you?" Simi's cheeks burned with humiliation. Just then, Minsun walked down the hall. Their eyes met for a split second, a flicker of something unreadable in his gaze, before he continued on, leaving Simi alone to face Yujin's cruelty. The betrayal stung, sharp and confusing. Why wouldn't he help? The contrast was maddening. In the hallways, he was ice. But when he occasionally visited Insu at the park's home, a different Minsun emerged. Kind, considerate, almost warm. The duality left Simi reeling, her heart aching with unanswered questions. Unable to bear the confusion, she confronted him after class, her voice trembling slightly. "Why didn't you help me? Why are you so cold sometimes, and then not?" Minsun's reply was clipped, distant. "It's not my problem. You don't know Yujin. She's complicated." He turned away, leaving Simi feeling more lost than ever, the warmth she'd glimpsed feeling like a cruel mirage. A school trip to the beach was announced. Excitement filled the air, but Simi's heart was heavy. The thought of spending a day surrounded by Yujin's malice and Minsun's baffling indifference was daunting. On the bus, Minsun predictably found himself surrounded by admirers at the back, while Simi sought refuge near the front. But then, a splash of color appeared. A girl with vibrant streaks in her hair and an open, friendly smile. "Hi, mind if I sit here?" she asked. Relief washed over Simi. "Sure, please." The girl introduced herself as Grace, and an easy camaraderie blossomed. They talked non-stop, Grace asking endless questions about Nigeria, fascinated by Simi's descriptions of its food and traditions, while Simi eagerly learned about Korean life from a peer's perspective. They shared earbuds, listened to music, and laughed. The tension Simi had been carrying easing with every shared smile. At the beach, they were inseparable, building sandcastles and paddling in the cool water, a genuine friendship taking root. On the bus ride home, exhausted but happy, Simi and Grace were deep in conversation when Minsun appeared. "Grace, can I switch seats with you?" he asked quietly. Grace hesitated, glanced at Simi, then agreed. The air grew thick with unspoken words as Minsun sat beside Simi. After a long silence, punctuated only by the hum of the bus, he gently pulled one of her earbuds out. "Why are you so quiet?" he murmured. Simi, startled and still nursing her hurt, retorted, "What do you want me to say? Why are you so confusing?" A faint smirk touched his lips. "Been busy," he deflected, then leaned slightly closer, his voice low. "Are you jealous?" Before Simi could process the question, let alone answer, he put his own headphones on, leaned back and closed his eyes, leaving her utterly adrift in a sea of conflicting emotions. The fragile truce was short-lived. The next day, Yujin, clearly incensed by Minsun's attention to Simi on the bus, cornered her again, her words sharper, her presence more threatening. Minsun walked past. This time, anger flashed unmistakably in his eyes as he looked at Yujin. But still, he didn't stop. He just kept walking. Simi watched him go, a fresh wave of hurt and frustration washing over her. His visible anger, coupled with his inaction, felt like a deeper betrayal. That evening, Simi retreated to her room, the cheerful atmosphere of the Park household feeling alien. Hours later, a soft knock. It was Minsun. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice flat. He didn't answer immediately, just pushed the door open wider and stepped inside, his expression earnest. "I'm sorry, Simi," he said, his voice low but clear. "I should have defended you back there. And the other times. I promise, I'll stand up for you from now on. If Yujin or her friends bother you again, you tell me. I'll handle it." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. I didn't want to see you get hurt. And he hesitated, meeting her eyes. "I missed you. I missed us. Seeing you upset because of her. It made me feel useless, helpless." He looked down, then back at her. "You're so kind, Simi, and so strong. It makes me want to be better." Simi searched his face, seeing the sincerity warring with his usual reserve. "Then why?" she whispered. "Why did you ignore me? Why did you stop coming over?" He didn't answer that directly, but later that evening he led her outside. A hush had fallen over the city, and soft white flakes were beginning to drift down from the night sky. "Is this snow?" Simi breathed, holding out her hands, her earlier hurt momentarily forgotten in pure wonder. It was the first time she had ever seen snow. Minsun watched her, a genuine, unguarded smile finally lighting up his face. "Yes," he confirmed softly. "The first snow of the year, sir." They stood there for a moment. Then, almost spontaneously, a snowball fight erupted. Laughter echoed in the quiet street as they chased each other, the cold air filled with the pure, unadulterated joy of the moment, a memory etched in glistening white. A week later, at Junho's celebratory poolside birthday party, the air hummed with music and laughter. Everyone mingled, drinks in hand. Simi, holding a soda, felt a sudden splash. Yujin stood there, an empty wine glass in hand, a mock expression of horror on her face. "Oh, I'm so sorry. Clumsy me, that was an accident," she said, sarcasm lacing her tone as the dark liquid stained Simi's borrowed white dress. Humiliation washed over Simi. Before she could react, Grace was there, pulling her towards the restroom. As they left, Simi saw Minsun stride purposefully towards Yujin, his face set like stone. She couldn't hear his words, but the way Yujin recoiled, her face contorting in shock, and then rage, spoke volumes. Later, Grace relayed Minsun's furious words. "Yujin, if you ever pick on my girl again, I'll make sure you regret it." My girl. The words resonated deep within Simi. Prom night approached. Gathering her courage, Simi found Minsun by the lockers. "Minsun," she began hesitantly, Will you be my prom date?" He looked surprised, then a familiar guardedness flickered. "I don't really like those kinds of parties," he admitted. Simi's heart sank. "But," he added quickly, a small smile touching his lips, "I'll go, for you." Joy flooded Simi's chest. She and Grace spent the next day in a delightful frenzy, finding the perfect, breathtaking gown. At the prom, Minsun's eyes widened when he saw her. "Simi," he breathed, "you look beautiful." She blushed, meeting his admiring gaze. "You look handsome too," she replied softly. They danced, lost in the music and the moment, the rest of the world fading away. Then came the announcement. Prom king and queen were Minsun and Yujin. Simi felt the air leave her lungs as she watched them take the stage for their obligatory dance. The sight was too painful. Tears blurring her vision, she turned and fled outside into the cool night air. Grace found her moments later, wrapping her in a warm, comforting hug. "Hey, forget him right now," Grace said fiercely. "Let's go back in there and dance. Show him you don't need him to have fun." Taking a deep breath, Simi wiped her eyes, nodded, and let Grace lead her back to the brightly lit dance floor, determination replacing the tears. Minsun watched them from across the room, a complex mix of regret and longing on his face. But he kept his distance. 2 years flew by. Simi blossomed in Seoul. She excelled in her university studies, found a part-time job she enjoyed, and deepened her bonds with her friends, especially Grace and Minsun. The confusion and hurt of the past had given way to a steady, comfortable love with Minsun. He had kept his word, becoming her staunchest protector and her closest confidant. Their relationship, tested by misunderstandings and external pressures, had emerged stronger, quieter, and more profound. Her parents, seeing her happiness and maturity during video calls, had given their blessing for her to continue her studies in Korea, a decision that filled Simi with profound gratitude. One warm evening, Minsun took her back to the beach, where their connection had first truly deepened. They walked along the shore, the setting sun painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the waves whispering against the sand. He stopped and turned to her, his eyes reflecting the fading light. "I'm so happy you stayed, Simi," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You changed my life." Simi's heart swelled, a warmth spreading through her that had nothing to do with the setting sun. She reached out, taking his hand. "And you've changed mine, Minsun," she whispered back. "You gave me a reason to stay when everything felt confusing. I love you." They embraced, holding each other close as the last sliver of sun dipped below the horizon, the vast ocean stretching before them, a symbol of the incredible journey they had shared and the boundless future that lay ahead, together.